Okay, well, I thought if I was going to do a video clip that I should do it dressed up in a purple dress. Whenever I was a teenager, I was pretty suicidal, but now I just take it out by shooting myself with the camera. Just take out my angst and I just pose like this. And like, oh, this is like the coolest 70s dress in the world. It has some stains on it, which I just now noticed, but it's pretty cool anyway. I'm not gonna be able to sell this for much money. I am on the third volume of The Forerunner, written, published, and edited by Charlotte Perkins Gilman in 1912. And I've started out with volume 1 and I'm reading myself through them. In one of the parts, she talks about hope and states that complacency is the opposite of hope. Oh, contentment is the opposite of hope. I said that complacency was the opposite of hope. She makes her argument by asking the question back. Are you satisfied with the world as you find it? Are you contented with the waste and the wickedness and the folly and the sin and the misery which doesn't need to be? If you don't have hope, the presumption is that you are. Even though the chances might seem really, really, really small, you should hope. She goes on and ends, this is written like about 100 years ago, and this is from volume 2, that we have a new hope based upon knowledge and not the stupidity and ignorance of our great-grandparents and great-great-great-grandparents that, they had just discovered science in like 1911. They had just discovered that germs cause sickness. And, factories were booming, but so was science and the discovery of germs back then. And it was just so cool. And anyways, she said that we should hope because we've discovered all this cool all these cool things and all these cool facts that, we'll be able to come to some solutions and poverty and hunger and all the crappiness and waste that existed in 1910. And we are not much better now. What have we done with all of our knowledge? I think that we've done a lot. I don't think that Charlotte Perkins Gilman saw birth control coming. I don't think that she anticipated that one day you would be able to cure gonorrhea or that syphilis was not a genetic condition. Like you look up the history of STDs and they didn't discover cures for syphilis or gonorrhea or any of those very common STDs back then until like the 40s or the 50s. And then birth control came along in the 60s. So it's just really interesting. But what have we done with all of this knowledge, all of this technology? Is our world truly a better place than it was in 1910? I like to think it is. I like to think that our world is a better place. Women in the United States and Black people have the right to vote now. We know it causes STDs, which is awesome. Women don't die of complications from STDs. Women don't die in childbirth nearly in the numbers that they used to. A lot of good has come from our knowledge. And I think that even though it's been chipped away at since the 70s and 60s, we do have a social safety net which did not exist back then. And it makes me pissed off, this lack of compassion that people feel for those who are pretty ignorant and even those who are willfully ignorant. Just the lack of compassion and that people have no hope for idiots. Like it's easy to say, oh, I hope for this, I hope for that, but do you really hope for that asshole next door to you? Do you really hope? Do you really have much hope for the greedy corporations? Do you have much hope that greedy corporations will at least pay their employees minimum wages and give back and pay it back in the form of taxes which benefit the public good, no matter what religion you are? I don't know if I have that kind of hope all the time, but I think that by keeping your eyes open and seeing all the shittiness around you, you are either happy with it, content with it, letting it be, or else you're hoping for the better. And this is my first video blog entry. Better now than never.